Man, this is lifestyles of the poor and unfucking fortunate. But I tell you what, bitch, we got views.
It's I got some shit to say to podcast, man. We back like we ain't stopped because we never do. ChadArmesTV in the building.
ChadArmesTV.com.
Y'all know me.
Fuck you, Squints.
Shout out Wizzle Fizzle.
R.I.P. Worm.
And the gentleman next to us over here. Go ahead, Chad.
This guy right here is a guy I've been wanting to get on this podcast for a minute.
We have.
We have, for sure. But dude's name is Jonathan Craig.
Thank you.
And if you want to tell him a little bit about what you do, you're a man of many hats, Jonathan.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Shout out Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, my dad is a bus driver in Chicago.
Fuck yeah. Shout out Pops.
Shout out, a bus driver in Chicago. You have to be a gangster.
Yeah, man, I do wear a lot of hats. I stand-up comedian for 10 years and work behind the scenes in entertainment, comedy, and music, and part of Jelly Roll's management team. Work for War Dog Management and do whatever comes my way, help out.
And this is the man, too, behind a lot of the production. Make sure I'm saying this right. Production of a lot of the Jelly Roll visuals that you see. This guy's the one that produces a lot of those, correct?
Yeah, so, from basically self-medicated album. I think I started with Bottle and Mary Jane video was the first one I produced on for the music video, and then all of them pretty much were self-medicated. And then for the new album, Ballads of the Broken, we have a couple that haven't dropped yet that help produce. And then there's several other artists that we work with that produce music videos for also. I think, man, I don't know, probably like 30 or 40 music videos at this point that we've worked on. So it's pretty
That's
dope.
crazy.
And you helped produce Viking Barbie, correct?
Yeah, the music video side of it. I don't do the music side.
Yeah, just the video portion. Yeah.
But so like that's, if you've seen anything from Viking Barbie, that's, any of her videos, that's something I've worked on over the past year and a half or so.
That's dope, man. Yeah, because shout out Jonathan, because I met him back in May whenever after Worm passed and Jelly was talking to me and was like, man, you need to come out to this video, man, get your mind off things. We were I went to the video shoot for the Cocaine song. Or Role Model, correct?
Yeah.
That's where I met Jonathan the first time. I'm pretty sure that's where we first met.
Yeah. I mean, I was aware of you. Just I was watching.
That's what I'm dying to jump in and say. I think we were aware of each other for what seems like years, man.
Yeah.
I saw all the stuff with Worm and stuff, and like what you do on the channel, ChadArmesTV. Shout out.
Yeah,
Shout out
for sure. Appreciate that.
But I've seen all that, and then when we actually met in person was definitely when we did the Cocaine song music video. Which hopefully we'll get that all together and put out in 2022 for everybody.
Yeah, hopefully so, man, because that one and even Angels Cry, because...
Is that the one you're playing a preacher?
Yes, man. Is that still happening? Can we even talk about that?
Chad wants to be in that once that video come out so bad.
Yeah, it's going to be a sick video. I mean, not only because Chad's in it, but, just the overall feel of it. I think people, from the album, that's definitely one of the ones people are feeling the most, so we need to get that one out
for sure. Well, I looked at the audio that y'all uploaded, and it's got the most views other than Son of a Sinner, I think.
Yeah, so Son of a Sinner is the one that's
for sure
taken off, and rightfully so. But after that, Dead Man Walking is doing well.
Yep.
Getting some push on the radio, which is dope. But after that, it's kind of like week to week it'll jump. One will be the top dog. The next one,
I can see why though, man, because that project is solid from start to finish, and I'm not just saying that because Jelly's the homie. I'm saying it because it's really solid from start to finish. It was almost surprisingly solid to me, with him jumping into a different genre and shit. Like we were kind of going in it like we know dude's talented and all that good shit.
Yeah, everyone knows he could rap. It's like
exactly.
What's this 10 songs of singing gonna sound like? The thing is, like, you think about it. There's a song on there for different moods, and day to day you have a different mood. So that's your song for you that day.
And I've said it on the podcast, like it's by far my favorite project from Jelly thus far.
Yeah,
and we've rocked with Jelly for a number of years.
Yeah, man, I've
seen it all.
I have every project he's ever done.
But Ballads of the Broken is by far. I mean, I saved the entire album, and I'm not that guy. Like normally, I'll save the album and then I'll like kind of weed out songs as I go that continuously just stay on this playlist of mine. And Ballads of the Broken, start to finish, is still there.
I love that, man. I love any album you put on, just listen.
Don't tell him that.
Front to finish.
Yeah.
Don't tell Jelly that.
But yeah, man, I'm the same way. Like I think I can see Backslide being a really big one. I see that's probably going to, I mean, obviously it already is doing well. The whole album's doing well, but I'm just happy to see Jelly getting radio play locally, which is unheard of.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's like a unicorn to be from the city, grew up here, made music here, and now you're getting radio love locally. And it's like, you know, it's like a dream come true, I'm sure. I mean, I can only imagine how Jelly feels about it, but I'm sure it's
right. Us knowing him personally, I think it's really cool to notice how much the local shit meant so much opposed to being. I mean, dude's getting radio play all the way out in like Montana and fucking, you know, like Kansas and Wyoming, like states that we didn't even know Jelly would sell out.
Yeah, for sure.
Dates, never long be on regular rotation on their local stations. But then last week when he hit Nashville radio, to see him like jump on his live and like to catch that moment, like we know him well enough to know what that moment meant to him, and you see it.
Oh yeah,
the moment the song comes on, you know what I mean. You see that like spark go off in his mind, like
he's 100% excited.
Exactly.
That's one thing about Jelly too is, you know, what he feels, you're gonna see it. He's genuine, 100%.
Yeah.
Nicest dude I've ever met, and
ugly in the motherfucker.
but yeah, he's, you know, those emotions, those feelings, and what you see him share in those clips, 100% genuine and true.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, and people gotta appreciate that, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, 2021 for him, I don't want to speak for him, but I would like to think, career-wise, there's no way that this has not been the craziest year of his life.
There's no way.
From a musician side.
Shit.
Just the stuff that he's accomplished in 2021. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I mean, got his first gold record, you know what I mean, and actually got 2 this year.
Now he's got 2, right, with Creature? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exciting. He announced that, you know, a couple weeks ago.
2 gold records, sold out show at the Ryman, a performance at the Opry.
The Opry was the band.
90% sold out tour, correct? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, it's over 90% sold out. All the
That's crazy,
shows.
dog.
Yeah.
And then
over
like during a pandemic,
tickets. I mean, it's a lot. It's big numbers, man.
Yeah.
To see that is like.
He hit his billionth view on YouTube this year.
Yep,
that was this year.
I noticed that on YouTube, Save Me is over like 82 million now.
Yep,
and y'all are about to hit 2 million subscribers.
Well, I think by the end of the year it's gonna be close, but I think we might get to 2. He might get to 2 million on that channel.
God,
but I want to thank you. We were last time I met with you at the office. I think y'all were at like 1.8, and that was just like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, it's going quick, man.
Yeah, y'all are jumping.
And it's all of it. You know, like one, of course, his music speaks to people. You know what I mean, and draws in people from all walks of life, and you know, just now he's getting radio play, all these sold out shows, and people are finally starting to realize that he's their favorite artist. And they wake up in the morning like, you know what, Jelly Roll's who I need to listen to today.
For sure.
And it just goes up from there.
Yeah, man.
Don't you handle a lot of online merch orders, that kind of shit too?
Yeah, so like I said, it's a lot of different stuff. I'm not one for titles or anything like that. I'm the guy that's just like, whatever needs to be done, throw it my way, plug me in. I'll use what I know to make stuff happen. So,
so a utility player.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's all I want to be is, you know, not let anything slip by. And
that's the best title to have, bro.
Yeah, man.
So, so part of it, you know, it wasn't. I don't know if it was necessarily part of the plan initially when I came on board, but you know, working through all the different merch deals and getting designs from artists and approving different merch and you know, making sure we're getting the right quantities and, you know, the distribution of it's happening properly and the contracts, looking those over with the team. And then just all that, getting it when we were doing tour stuff, just working with them to make sure that was squared away for them to get started on the road. So it was like twofold this year, you know, the online stuff and that, which was the first time we really dealt with that on a larger level, so that was kind of exciting. And
not only that, bro, you also handle a lot of his social media.
Marketing, just teeing up stuff for him. Like whenever he does a video release, part of my producer part of what I do, and whenever a video is about to drop, make sure all the, you know, T's are crossed and I's are dotted and ready to go, all that kind of stuff for him.
Lots of hats. The guy has.
Yep. And I mean,
y'all hiring?
I don't know, maybe. 2022 is only gonna get bigger.
Yeah, man. So this is what I want to talk about with Jonathan. So let's get into Jonathan Craig. Like,
that's enough.
How did you get into? What made you want to get into stand-up comedy? Like, when did that start?
Man. So I mentioned earlier, you know, my dad's from Chicago, lives in Chicago, so that's where I grew up initially, and you know, they call it the second city, and it's a lot of times people refer to it as the second city of comedy. So comedy was like instilled in me early on in life. You know,
Just because of the atmosphere and culture
Atmosphere,
around you?
yeah.
Okay. But it wasn't like your old man was on stage doing comedy. Okay,
nothing
gotcha.
like that. It was literally just, it always was something that drew me in. You know, even from an early age, I think, man, I was probably like 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember being at like an aunt or uncle's house, and they were watching Andrew Dice Clay, which I probably shouldn't have been watching at that
Nope.
age.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely shouldn't have.
Little Miss Muffet, fucking.
Yeah. And I told my mom, I was like, yeah, I watched this guy, Andrew Dice Clay. No, you can't watch that. But I would sneak downstairs at night when my parents were sleeping and watch it anyways.
Of course, yeah.
All that kind of stuff. But my 10th birthday, I asked, I was like, man, can I go to Zany's in Chicago and watch a show? Like, I didn't care who was playing. I wanted to go see a live comedy show.
You were tapped in from the kid. Yeah.
So like, they call and like, hey, my nephew's having a birthday. He wants to come. They're like, oh, great. We'll set up a reservation. And they're like, is there age limit? And they're like, yeah, you got to be 18 or older. And it's like, oh, crap, I got to wait 8 more years for this, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, my mom worked at a nursing home, and I used to go and perform for the old people. Like, not only, like, I would sing and act out like I was Michael Jackson. I would, tell jokes.
So what
like
age
I
was
a
this?
clown.
What age did you start, like, writing jokes?
Really, like, seriously, like, actually writing jokes. I was probably a teenager, like 12, 13 age, like coming up with funny bits and that kind of thing. And I was just waiting for my opportunity to do it, and I was a little bit hesitant to do it. And I've had a few, like, false starts, like, early on, like, when I was, like, 17, 18, I thought about moving back to Chicago, because I moved from Chicago to Alabama when I was a teenager. And I was like, well, I might go back and take some classes at Second City and get into comedy that way. And I was just hesitant to do it. I didn't want to move and be there. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff with that. But finally, I was in my early 20s, and people were like, oh, you think you're a comedian? Like coworkers and stuff encouraged me to go to open mic, and went to one and chickened out, didn't go up on stage, but just watched it. So it was cool to like observe and see how it works.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, I finally was like, I'm just going to do it. Just rip the.
Did you get drunk and do it or something?
Yeah, there's definitely, alcohol
Had
involved.
to get a little buzz
liquid
on,
courage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, got tipsy. I had like 5 minutes scribbled down on a piece of paper worth of jokes, which when you start out, you don't know what 5 minutes really even is.
It's an hour. It's an hour. Of
Yeah,
that.
you feel like you got an hour of material. You're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go up here and do my special.
Yeah.
And your first time, you're like, so what else do I want to talk about? You just burn through it so fast because that adrenaline starts pumping. But, the first time I went up, I was just like, man, I'd be happy if I just make one person in the audience laugh tonight. I was just really trying to set the bar low. That's what I do. And I did. I remember focusing on a table. It was like some kid. It was like his 21st birthday, and his family, like his mom and dad, took him out for drinks or whatever. And I focused it on that table, and they were laughing at my stuff. And I was like, man, this is actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
And like the adrenaline rush. And then the next night, I called in sick to my job and came to Nashville actually to do another open mic. So like from then, I just didn't look back. I was on stage every night, just about.
So your first open mic was in Alabama or Chicago?
Yeah, first open mic was in Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay.
And then my second one was in Nashville. And they were filming a reality TV show that night at the bar. I guess some comic was on the show. And so I also got to be on TV for the first time for that. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's dope. And what year was this? 20?
Oh, man. It was like 2010
Okay.
or 2011, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
We were down the street rapping.
Yeah, for sure. I've always been curious because, like, as a hip hop artist, like I know how to write and structure music, like from a rap standpoint, and even from other genres. But as much of a huge fan as I am of stand up comedy and the stand up comedy podcasts and stuff, I've always been curious as to what goes into writing jokes.
Yeah, that process. I got to let me co-sign that, because I've always been I've had people ask me if I'd ever consider doing comedy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think I spoke to you about it. Like, I'd love to sit and write jokes. I think that would be cool as hell to explore how that process works. Because like Chad, I've wrote rap songs before, and I can be silly, and I can move a crowd and host a show type shit.
Everyone has something in them that, people, you're funny. You're funny to your friends.
Yeah.
You have that, especially if you have stage presence from performing. You have that for you when you've been in front of audiences.
Yeah.
So that's going to easily translate to the stage when you start to do comedy. Hardest part of doing comedy is starting doing comedy.
Exactly. And I'm old as dirt, so I'm a little past that.
That
You know what I'm
doesn't
saying?
really matter.
Well, the
man.
good thing about comedy is there's not really that doesn't really play a factor, does it?
Right. Now, I've
guess
seen
so
people
much.
go up in their 60s.
You're
and they do
absolutely
the first
right.
time.
Yeah, because
you're
that's
absolutely
the good
right.
thing about that.
And sometimes that'd be the whole angle to their bit, just being like,
Yeah, I'm an old fart. Whatever. That's my
Do, so, like, do you, speaking like to you specifically, do you write the punchline and then work backwards, or do you know what I'm saying? Like,
There's a lot of different
I
ways
guess
to do
it
it.
depends.
Sometimes it's like, okay, this is a funny idea. How do I get to that funny, right? So this is the punchline. Work your way to it.
and
right?
will you like stop? Sorry to cut you off. Will you like stop and jot that down? Like put a note in your phone or like fucking write it
So
down?
starting out, I used to, I had a day job and I had like a little notepad. And so like if something, and sometimes it would be like I'd be on my way to the job driving, make a note in my phone about what it is while I'm driving.
Yeah.
Then eventually it gets on paper, and then sometimes it becomes a joke. Sometimes it's literally just a piece of paper with the premise or what's
Yeah.
funny about it.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I had a shoebox. So I would have the premise, I'd throw it in a shoebox if I wasn't ready to write about it. Like so I have, for my first year doing comedy, like a Timberland boot shoebox full of just premises.
Dope.
And
and you can go in there and dip in and look
Yeah.
at it and revisit stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes even now, like 10 years later, I'll pull out that old shoebox. I'll be like, what the hell was I thinking about this?
Right. That's what I was going to ask. I bet it's funny as hell to go through that shoebox and be like, what was I
Yeah.
on when I
Or
wrote
old
that
set
down?
lists, I mean, I've been on stage, I don't know how many times, hundreds of thousands of times at this point.
Yeah.
Thousands at least. And seeing like what the way you do a set list is literally just, before you go on stage, you're trying to memorize the order of what you're trying to do. And it's literally just usually one or two words. And I'm like, man, what the hell was that about? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Well, so I guess it's similar to like like musicians and stuff. You put a set list down with the song title, and you're like, okay, I know
Yeah.
everything. I know the song title. Okay, I know that song. So let's just do this.
Yeah.
So I guess it's similar.
It's
kinda.
similar. It's the only difference is, and this is kind of like inside baseball with comedy. Like,
Shout out Inside Baseball.
yeah,
Yeah,
they'll if an audience or even like a promoter or a booker sees you like looking at your set list during a set,
It's like
that's
a
faux
black.
pas.
Yeah, it's like a red.
So
flag.
you have to try to remember the order
Yeah.
as much as you can, and if you're doing it when you're drunk, that's could be a problem. But as far as like going back to like how to write stuff, writing those premises is one thing. Sometimes you get the full idea out, and then another way is writing live on stage. So and the only way to test your material, like you can tell your friends or whatever, and that some of them will be like, oh, that's funny. Some of them, after a while, they're tired of you testing your material on them. So
Right.
the true way is you have to go to the open mics
And just see what
and
lands.
do it live the first time and
Figure out the direction of the joke.
yeah,
Maybe the way
sometimes
you
it-
said it or something.
Yeah, and sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. You just take it back, rework it, figure out what parts of it were actually funny and what you can improve upon. And like you said, sometimes it's just a delivery. And then another thing is you'll learn after doing it for a while, it's the order of the jokes. Like
Yeah.
I've not changed anything about the joke, but just told it after a different joke.
Yeah, like
And
a
it's-
track
and
list.
it works better. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just
Same
like that.
same scene basically. I
Yeah.
totally.
It's
get
very
it, man.
similar. Yeah.
And then a lot of it, I guess, too, not only just writing jokes, you specifically have, you can just do like you just tell a story, and then that you could just, it's a certain way of like fine tuning that story.
Yeah.
Like the story about going to the ATM
Yeah.
with what was it, like that was just a story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of things will evolve. That joke that you're talking about is like started out as just like a quick little 30-second joke, and then it goes from there. And over a year or two, you just, when you're performing, sometimes you do a tag. A tag is just like a quick punchline to get an extra laugh at the end of a joke, and then it just evolves and goes from there. And then as far as like story writing, I went to like this little like thing that Christopher Titus was doing one time, and he's like a good storytelling comic.
Yeah.
And what he said is, if you have a story, if it's something that actually happened and you think it could be funny, write it all down.
Then
Then go through, and you want to leave lines in between each, like skip a line. When you fill up a line, skip a line. And then
To fill ins. Right?
so then what you're doing after that then is take a red pen or something, just basically cross out the stuff that's not important. So you're just narrowing it down. They say like treat your words like money, right? You want to spend the least amount of money to get the big payoff at the end with the laugh. So
Right.
and then once you trim it down, you can go back and like add punch ups, like descriptive words and phrases that make it funny.
I like that. I like how you just broke that down.
Like trimming the fat, basically, what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you don't have to give every detail of what you just did, because
Right.
at a certain point the audience is like, all right, just get to the funny part, asshole. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah,
Right.
especially when you're on. If you only have a limited amount of time, you're kind of.
When it comes to comedy, there's one word that I Chad, what's the one word I say we can't say on here?
Politics.
No. Besides politics and religion, when we're in conversation, what's the one word we have to? I'd say
I'm horrible at that.
Yeah.
When we and from a comedy perspective, like when you're me as a consumer, when I sit down and I like really fucking, I don't even laugh out loud and it's not that I'm a dickhead. It's more I look at it like I'm learning.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when I do laugh out loud, I think that shit is genuinely fucking hilarious. You follow what I'm saying? But when I sit there and I'm watching an artist or a comedian for the first time and I hear that word between jokes, it always throws me off.
Yeah.
So bad. And there's one comic that does it all the time and kills it. Still just keeps it going. Theo Vaughn. He'll say, what else?
Yeah. Theo is
What else?
rarity,
He's a unicorn for sure.
What else?
He uses such crazy descriptions out of left field. You don't even see him coming.
Yeah, dude's mind works
even if you've
different.
seen his set,
I have
a dozen times. Though,
It's
it's a
different.
little bit different.
Yeah.
Each time he tells a joke, to the point that you don't know what's coming next, and that's what I like about him a lot.
Like the whole thing with his newest special, which a lot of it I know.
I still haven't watched it. Don't spoil it.
Well, I'm just gonna say one thing, but it's in the trailer.
All right.
When he says the whole joke about his buddy getting bit by a gay guy, and then he pauses. He said, "So we'll see."
Yep.
And then I was just something like that, and I was like, "Bro, it's so funny." But it's such a Theo.
It's a simple thing too.
Yeah,
You think
it's just
about
the way he delivers it, man.
Yep.
You know.
So who's Jonathan Craig's favorite comic from a consumer standpoint?
There you go.
Right now, I like Tom Segura. He's been
for
on
sure.
top for me for probably a couple years.
He's top. He's in my top 5 all time.
Yeah, see, I'm bad. I probably know exactly who you're talking about, but
Yeah.
Chad say I'm not. Chad's like a what's the word?
For stand-up comedians, I'm
Almanac.
Yeah,
yeah.
But he's with names. Period. Like when it comes to
Yeah.
sports and shit, like Chad, he just
So you've seen
those
Segura,
names
bro.
out
He's
there.
got several
Exactly.
specials on Netflix. Bald guy with with a beard.
okay.
Yeah.
Like
That explains like every stand-up comic
right,
that
true,
there is.
true.
Every
But
white fat.
He's got a
bearded comic.
huge podcast with his wife called Your Mom's House.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's
like friends with
Lex's
Bert
favorite
Kreischer.
too.
You know who
yeah.
Bert Kreischer
Him and
is?
Bert
Yep.
Kreischer, yeah.
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 Chad's up there on. He's up there on your list too, right, Bert? The guy you just said.
Oh, Segura. Yeah, Segura's in my top 5 ever, for
And
sure.
Bert Kreischer too.
Yeah. Bert's
Yeah,
great.
Kreischer.
Bert is
That's the one
like
I'm
watching a train wreck. But Bert is so funny though, dog, because he's so he's got like childlike innocence because he's so. Me and him are similar, bro. Like the way that our mind works, and he'll say whatever and not care what people think about it. Not in a bad way, just like in a self-embarrassing way. Like
Do you follow a lot of comics content regularly?
Me, yeah.
Like from podcasts to because me and Chad, we listen to tons of fucking podcasts.
That's all I do. I have them mapped out each day.
And
what
it
comes
seems
out
like
when.
most of mine are built around comedians.
All of mine are. Every one of them.
But he listens to 5 more than me. I can barely keep up with the ones I
only
listen
listen to like 4 or 5 podcasts regularly.
Go. What do you listen to?
Listen to Got Some Shit to Say.
Hell yeah, my
dude.
boy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now Your Mom's House. I listen
Yeah.
to Bad Friends.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, Bad
Santino's he's
That's-
one of my favorites
Santino's
ever. Too.
dope.
That's new to me. Thanks to Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the other one that Bobby Lee's on?
Tiger Belly with him and his
Tiger Belly,
girlfriend.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
that was good. Yeah.
His girlfriend's funny.
No,
Yeah,
listen
she
to Conan O'Brien had one for a while.
They said his was really good. I
It
had
was
never
cool.
listened
Those
to
are
it.
just like straight up interviews of like celebrities, but it gets interesting. And then the other one, oh man, I can't think of the name of it, but it's I'd have to pull out my phone and check. But yeah, there's several of them based around comics that is just great. And it's not just necessarily stand up comics either. It's like Conan isn't, you wouldn't say is a stand up comic, but he's a comedian.
I love watching him interview people though.
Yeah.
When he had the Conan show, like
Yeah.
I'm not big on those type of shows, but I always liked watching his like clips and stuff. But like for me it's weird because like some people I like. Perfect example, Theo Vaughn. My favorite, absolute number one favorite person to watch on podcast. Not my favorite stand-up comedian though. His humor is different. Like it's
when he's going off people.
Yeah,
it's
Bobby Lee, same way. I think Bobby Lee is one of the funniest human beings on earth on podcasts. And on stand-up, I don't like him as much, but Santino is just as funny stand-up to me as he is in podcasts.
Yeah.
Chris DiStefano is one in my top right now too. He's one of my favorites too.
That's the guy I see everywhere.
Dude, and he's got 2 podcasts. He's got the one with Sal Vulcano from Impractical Jokers, and then he's got a one he does by himself.
That came out of nowhere to me. Like, I knew Sal was getting into comedy and was doing like that comedy.
Sal is they're so balling.
Yeah,
they have how many different shows on True TV?
Yeah, and they do like a live show.
Yeah, a tour,
which is they actually go up and do stand up, and then they do some like visual pranks up on the screen, and they mess around with the audience a little bit.
Not to mention the 15 fucking seasons of the show he signed off on.
Right.
Yeah, there's no telling what that bag looks like.
I love all that. Of course, King of the Sting, I like. It sucks because with Theo living in Nashville, he's not on every episode now. But I like that Bobby's little brother or brother and Eric Griffin are on there. Yeah. So it's cool to see. I know each day what's dropping, and Mondays are when everything drops, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you got like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean I've met a lot of these people working in comedy, just being a comic, but also like. I used to manage a comedy club. These comics, they come through, and it's surprising. I mean, a lot of people like hold them to a high standard of celebrity and stuff, but they're all just normal people for the most part, and just that's how I always treat them. They usually appreciate that more than being like, "Oh, I love your stuff. Can I get your autograph?" That kind of thing. So kind of learned over time, just treat people like how you want to be. If you was just coming into town for a week, and don't be weird.
So if you say you were managing a club, where was that?
That was in Huntsville. So as far as the timeline for me, I started doing comedy in Huntsville. I did it for like 3 years, moved to Chicago again to do comedy. Then moved to Nashville for a few years. Then met the owners of Zanies. And then they were opening up a comedy club in Huntsville, and kind of, told them that's where I'm from. I started doing comedy there. They, talked to them about some of the things I'm good at, like running social media ads and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So they're like, well, hey, we might have a position for you. So I ended up moving back down to Huntsville to help with that. I was there for 2.5, almost 3 years. And then decided I wanted to come back here, but that's where we did that, was in Huntsville.
And how, when you said come back here, how you're active here in Nashville, Zanies, right? Like are you there regularly or often, or how's that work?
I do to an extent, but, for the most part, I've kind of just been sporadic with my sets, just because I've been focusing on the behind the scenes stuff with the music stuff for Jelly, and
for sure
stuff that's a priority number one. I mean, I love comedy. I love going and seeing shows. I still will write some stuff and work it out, but for the most part, I prefer to continue to see the up and coming comics get their reps at Zanies when they can, and so I don't really send in my avails too often to them for booking.
We keep telling Leroy he needs to get into comedy too.
Yeah, you should,
because he's so fucking young, and if he could just spend like I keep telling him we shouldn't wait till his rap career is going down to start comedy.
No, they need to be simultaneous.
They need to be simultaneous and just use.
There's a lot of rappers. I mean, Chingo Bling was one. He rapper and started doing comedy stuff.
Maybe not a comedy presence, but Upchurch. I mean, I think Upchurch is. I mean, dude's a funny motherfucker.
He is, yeah.
Well, Jelly, same with Jelly. I mean,
right?
Jelly
could do the same shit.
Yeah, that's something, like since he's been meeting some of these comedians, Josh Wolf and Andrew Schultz, and
shout out Josh Wolf, dude, one of the coolest people on planet Earth.
Shout out Andrew Schultz. That makes me so.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's how the conversations with me and Jelly go, man. I just cuss at him the whole time. I swear, I really do, because I'm just jealous of the scenarios he's got to come across. Just
well, I go back to when we were sitting in that bar and filming the sober video. Me and you and Jelly were sitting at that table where they were playing poker, and then he gets the notification that The Rock mentioned him.
Yeah,
and Schultz, and then he FaceTimed Schultz, and Schultz picked up on the
right there ring. On the spot. Yeah,
and we were taling about podcasts and shit, and King of the Sting, Flagrant 2 is my favorite podcast.
Oh yeah, that was great. Another comic
with Andrew Schultz and Akash Singh.
Yeah, and the one that another comic that I love is Tim Dillon. I think he's hilarious, dog.
I love Brilliant Idiots. with
Yeah, he put-
Charlemagne the
Squints put
God
me on that
and
one. Yeah.
Andrew Schultz. I'm a huge fan of Andrew Schultz.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he redefined like that special he put out on Netflix. That was game changing. I think the way he did that one.
I mean, he was doing them on like Instagram, right, for a while, and then they were just picking up so much traction. And I think he started putting on YouTube and stuff too.
I love it.
And then
That's my kind of
it was
comedy.
so big, it was undeniable that it's like, yo, let's ink a deal with Netflix and put out a special for it.
You know who it reminded me of? Like initially when I saw the Schultz special, like I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but it reminded me of Daniel Tosh.
No, it had that vibe.
I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like that
similarity.
structure, just kind of like that, just
Quick-
boom, hit
quick
you and
hit,
run
quick hit.
kind of motherfucker.
And you got to watch it
It's a
multiple
lot of
times.
tags. Like I said, tags just like doot, doot,
Yeah.
doot, doot, doot.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean, you're
constantly
getting
going.
out the next joke by the time I'm like, did he just fucking?
Yeah, you're
say
laughing
what I
at 3
think he
jokes
said?
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I like that shit. I like shit like that. That quick shit. That shit's funny.
Yeah, him and his team are great, man. We went down there to shoot that music video with them, and they were awesome. And just like we still communicate about projects from time to time with his video team, because Andrew has his own video crew, writing crew, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I said, his that Flagrant 2 show, I love that structure. That's probably my number one podcast I listen to. And it's pretty much based around comedy, but they cover topics of everything. I don't know if you're familiar with the show. But it's Andrew Schultz, Akash Singh, and a gentleman named Mark Gagnon.
Isn't that one of like Schultz? He's like
Yeah,
one
but
of his like crew or something.
and there's a couple more too. Alex Media.
Yep.
I'm trying to think, and I'm forgetting somebody. But that Mark Gagnon dude,
Yeah,
I don't know how active he is in the comedy world, but I
Did you
think
meet-
that sumbitch is so funny.
Did
Yeah.
you meet him whenever y'all went down
yeah.
there?
We were down there. Mark was definitely one of the dudes who was part of the whole process, and he was in the video, and then you know, he was helping come up with ideas for it. Helping like pre-pro and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, he's the opening guy for Schultz, but he's hilarious.
Yeah, super funny. I like that guy.
I love how now a lot of the comedians are doing their own specials and putting them straight on their YouTube channel, because what I didn't know until I was watching King and the Sting when Theo just got that special from Netflix, the way that they do that shit, bro, is they pay you a lump sum and they own that motherfucker.
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah, they
You know,
do it. They
fuck
kind of
yeah.
they anticipate how many streams it's going to get or how many new subscribers they might get from adding it. And and that's it. Like I talked to a friend who's a comic. Shout out Dusty Slay. He's got he's part of a thing coming out I think next week on Netflix, and it's called The Stand Ups. It's just like a 15-minute set, but there's like several like other comics on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, so just let me know. Like, do they pay you like per stream, or is it just like a lump sum? He's like, yeah, they give. They
Yeah,
basically
see that
buy
lump
it, they
sum
own
shit.
it.
They own that shit.
And he's like, it's material that some people who already know me may have heard before, but people who don't know me, and honestly, Netflix is gonna, you're gonna get a whole new fan base.
Exactly. And if Netflix thinks it slaps to cut the check, cut the fucking check.
Right.
It ain't even got to be that person's best material if you think about it. That's what I think's crazy about it. But to your point, Chad, either you're getting the bag up front and going the Netflix route, or like a Patreon type subscription, to where motherfuckers are almost cutting you short. Like there's some people that's like recognizing the algorithms and knowing that they're kind of cutting themselves short when they do that, and they save that content specifically for like a Patreon type subscription.
Yeah.
And bank on it there.
Well,
Nelk Boys, perfect example.
Yeah.
Their videos have got shorter and shorter and shorter. Their pranks have gotten better because the money's there.
Yeah.
But it seems like when you're like in the video now, Tekashi's there and shit. Like the content is fucking gold, and they'll almost cut it short now and be like, "Sorry, YouTube will probably fucking ban us."
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
That's
Demonetize.
that's what Bunny does.
Yeah. A lot of those like
Genius.
Yeah,
I think it's
we'll talk
fucking
straight
genius.
up about YouTube. I mean, they're great. It's a great source to put out and release content, but there are a lot of guidelines that you don't even really. You're like, they're not going to flag it for this.
Oh,
And
we know. Trust me.
We still don't know what they deem us like limited ad suitability. They won't tell us. It just gives a big.
No,
brief.
it does. Yeah, and so it's for stand up, you got to make sure you got to probably watch it. Have a sounding board. Someone watch your special. Make sure there's nothing that could be flagged, and before you put it out on your channel. Which one way it's smart. I've known a lot of comics who have done that over the years, and they get the streaming numbers up and subscriptions up on their channel. They're making close to what they would make from Netflix anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, the Patreon changed the game because then there's a little bit less, restriction on that. You can put whatever you want. Then
whatever you want.
OnlyFans, obviously, some comics started doing stuff on OnlyFans.
Yeah, for sure.
They will watch porn and roast it. Like they'll make fun of porn.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Just sit back, watch it, make fun of it, and people subscribe to that. They just put out content through that way.
Well, certain specials that just hit net that was like on YouTube only. 2 specials that I think are great and they're doing really good is Shane Gillis. Put that one. He's hilarious, Squints. If you ain't checked out him,
Yeah, that's that's where my head's at. I'm like, who?
yeah, I found out about him when he started doing his podcast runs. When that special came out, he got on DeStefano's, he got on King, he got on everybody's Fighting the Kid. Well, his special is at 3 million views already on his YouTube channel in less than 4 or 5 months. So he's already said that he likes that better than. Because he got canceled when he did the whole SNL thing.
Yeah, he got on SNL and then got canceled because his Twitter had some jokes about Asians that they didn't like.
And they instantly canceled him. So
but that was probably almost the best thing for his career.
Absolutely,
Now he's like a known guy. When not that he wasn't known before, but like that leveled him to like more people like, well, let's see what this guy's really talking about.
Yeah,
is it really as bad as we thought? Is he really just badmouth races and that kind of thing? And they're like, well, he's edgy, but he's not a bad guy. You know what I mean?
No, it's Josh Wolf, same way. Did a stand-up special. Did some like songs and was doing skits and stuff. And it was really good. He did that at Zany's, right? Nashville Zany's.
Yeah, the most recent thing he has out, he filmed at Zany's and put it out. And first time I met Josh Wolf, I was opening for him for the weekend. And
Flex.
It was right before
He's so cool.
It was before he put out his Father of the Year special, and he was trying to shop it to like Netflix and stuff, and the numbers weren't coming out right. So he's like, you know what, I'm just going to put it on YouTube, put it on my channel, and that's and then another guy who does it, and a lot of people will frown upon it, is Louis C.K. He's the one who kind of started all that. Is he started just putting out on Netflix, not even going to Netflix. He would just put it out on his website behind a paywall. You pay $5, and all that money goes straight to him, other than like the transaction fee to process
10% or whatever.
Yeah, and so he was making bank on that.
Bank.
And as a matter of fact, I think he has a special dropping coming up this weekend. On his website. So
it's all about the creator and how they want to angle the bag. But it's a risk if you keep it to that, you know what I mean? The Patreon type level or paid subscriptions or whatever.
I think you got to have a certain amount of like.
You got to be in a
reach.
couple of.
You have a good
absolutely,
reach,
for sure.
Over Netflix,
for any of that. But like that Nelk shit, $20 a month. $20 a month, and I don't see the numbers there, so I don't know what their monthly subscriptions look like. I'm sure it's crazy. We're talking about the fucking Nelk boys, but Mike. To your set like OnlyFans, they marketed their shit genius, bro. They did it instead of OnlyFans, it's called Only Steve's because they reference to Steve. Everybody's a Steve, blah blah blah. It's just part of their gimmick. You got to catch the wave, but they have OnlySteves.com, and then on there each month, $5, you get 2 exclusive songs from Mike.
Yeah.
Then for another $5, you get 2 additional podcasts.
Yeah. I'm subscribed to several comedians.
But it shows the numbers on theirs. How many? And it's like 7,000.
Dog.
$5 a month.
Tim Dillon is at 198,000 a month on Patreon, dog. Tim Dillon is. He's at like, what, 35,000 patrons?
And Flagrant 2 is the #1 comedy Patreon in the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
Flagrant is.
They're right there. I always watch because them and Tim Dillon go back and forth.
Yeah, they're just printing money, basically.
Yeah,
printing money. Doesn't that sound cool?
Man. As long as you can't go to prison for it, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, in addition to making that Patreon money, Tim Dillon posts his podcast on his YouTube channel. He just does the Patreon. It's only 2 bonus episodes a month, but he still puts all the other episodes on his YouTube, so he gets that check from YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And then don't count whatever he gets paid for shows and
I mean,
sponsorship. I mean, that's where it's at, man. And
it's like it's a fan club in a way.
For sure, absolutely.
So it's like, you guys fuck with me heavy. Here's some extra stuff, but hey, by the way, I need something for it. You know what I mean? I'll put this out for you and be consistent with it, but I need to get that bag every month.
Right.
And like with DeStefano's Patreon, I think it's like for $5 a month. He does one called the Chris and Eddie Show, where him and his producer, they just take edibles and then they just sit there and he just talks for 30 minutes to an hour.
Chad loves edibles.
I did it for the first time this weekend, dog, and I took half of a gummy, dude.
Yeah.
and I was completely. I stood in the kitchen and laughed. Me and Leroy laughed at each other for like 10 minutes. Off of a half of a gummy. Leroy ate the entire rest of the bag in one, like.
Oh, man.
I did watch dude on live the other night, and he was just and he just kept eating them.
Yeah. I saw someone do that on Instagram. Like, I think it was like FJ Outlaws.
I watched.
Some dude ate like 10 edibles, but it was like 100 milligrams each or something.
Bro, that's what Leroy can't. He's fine. That's
crazy.
Bro, I went to Cali and had edibles and ate them like they were potato chips, man. It was nothing. And then I came home and ate edibles, and I ate some, and it made me sick. And I'm like, what? Like, I've never got sick from. Give me a fucking break. So now I don't fuck with edibles.
Another person who
unless
used to
it's
like
hallucinogenic.
They used to like dosing people, kind of like what you were talking about. Was Ralphie May. Ralphie May.
Oh yeah.
He was sponsored by Chiba Chews, and
I remember those
Chiba
Chiba Chews.
Like Decadose, which is like 10 times the regular dosage, and he would just be like, "Yeah, here, have this. Is fine." You know, you're in the room, you're watching it happen. And it's like hilarious. You like this dude's about to be tripping balls.
Dog, they talk about it all the time. All the comedians, because most of them are all cool with each other. And Joey Diaz is like one of everybody's favorites, and they talk about how much edibles he eats, dog.
Oh yeah,
and then he'll take a Xanax like to come to smooth him out, like after eating all those edibles. Because Segura will talk about how I ate this many, and Joey Diaz ate like 2,000 milligrams or whatever it was, and they talk about him all the time doing that. And I've watched some of the podcasts where they were just all on edibles, just fucking tripping out.
After one of the Joey Diaz shows, we hung out in the green room, and it's 100% true. Like
Flex.
He ate the edibles, and then he's smoking weed right behind it.
Yeah, dude.
And nothing, like on top of it.
He's so funny.
I was like, what the hell are you doing right now, dude? How are you
I
able to
love
function?
that motherfucker.
Dude, Joey Diaz is one of the goats for sure.
He just holds court, man, because everyone just wants to be around him and hear his stories, like off air. It doesn't even have to be on stage, not on a podcast. Just like sit there and hear his stories are hilarious.
Because it's the way he tells them, bro. Because he's just this gangster ass, like Italian dude. Like, it's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
I love Joey Diaz.
Me too.
Yep.
So from doing the comedian stuff, when did you get into wanting to do like the
behind the scenes
producing stuff with music? Like, when did that? How did that come about?
Man, if I'm being honest, when I was like 16 or 17 years old, around the same time I was, big comedy fan, trying to figure it out. I was like, what do I want to do in my life? I was like, man, I'd like to get in the music industry. So I would actually had a notebook where I would write raps down and stuff like that. And then, but I couldn't really find anybody in my area to like help me get there. So I gave that up, and that's when the comedy thing I started going that direction. But then, I left my job in Huntsville, managing the comedy club. We moved back here, me and my wife, and I knew I wanted to work in entertainment still. Didn't know if I wanted to be comedy or whatever. There wasn't really anything open in the comedy field. And then I saw a post on Facebook looking for an office manager for music, I wouldn't say label, but whatever it is, whatever you want to call what we do on Music Row. And I was like, well, I'll send my resume in. And then manager Matt called me up, set up an interview, had the interview. Basically a lot of things that I did translate because I understood contracts, I understood settlements after a show. So as far as touring goes, I can read the contract that, for any artist or whatever and figure out if it's, we're getting paid out right and all that kind of stuff. And I understood social media marketing. I understood, a lot of those kind of important things. And he was like, yeah, I think you'd be helpful to our team, and brought me in. And then a month later, the whole world shut down, went into lockdown. And I'm lucky that, Matt and Jelly, they kept me on payroll during that time. And, it's like the whole city of Nashville's locked down. You can't be here. So even though we just got a brand new office on Music Row, we had to shut it down and go work from home. And it was like, well, man, I'm the new guy. They're going to let me go. But no, they kept me on. And then everything shifted from like, okay, we can't tour. What can we do? Let's create content. Let's create more content than we ever have. And that's when like the video stuff started popping.
Every
We're like,
week.
let's drop a new video every week. That was our plan. We did these live sessions with Jelly, recorded them. They were a hit. And then from there, that was his back catalog. And then we just were like, hey, let's just keep putting out new videos. And then he was in the studio and working on the Self-Medicated album. Yeah. And I was right there, working with my laptop. Like it was just cool to be around to feel the atmosphere of like, you've been in the studio with him. It's like, it's a cool feeling, cool vibe. And then it was just like, okay, that's a cool song. Let's think of some ideas for music videos. Let's think of other stuff we can do. And we were just coming up with it all at once and just ready to put it out. And it was magic, dude. Even though like people went home and stuff, we kept grinding. And I think that's part of the reason why Jelly's where he is, just because he just kept grinding hard.
For sure. I think
Absolutely.
that y'all
What's that, Chad?
Persevering, is that the word? Through the pandemic. That was a lot of peas.
That was a lot of peas.
I can't do it again, dude. But yeah, I think that's really what took y'all to that. Because if you was to look at what you can, I'm sure you have, the growth of the channel and the social media presence in 2020 alone.
He probably knows better than anybody.
Yeah. I'm sure he does.
No, I pull him every month.
Yeah. So just, I mean, because 2020, that's when all that stuff happened. So basically what you did is you took all the knowledge that you had from doing comedy clubs.
Yeah, and like selling out those shows and
Yeah.
promoting
and
the
applied
comics.
it to- okay.
And then sit
that-
down with the team and say, hey, team, let's
Is that what your resume said that you submitted?
Yeah,
like
it
most
was
of
kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, much like entertainment.
Now I know
stuff.
what to put on mine.
Yeah, I can give you a copy of mine if you need it.
Please.
Yeah.
So that's really dope, man. That's dope to see.
Yeah, but
because-
that's 100%, testament to Jelly's work ethic. You know,
No, for sure.
He's there to grind. He's in the studio. He's
Oh,
putting in
yeah.
those late hours. You know what I mean? And you guys have been there with him. seen
Absolutely.
it. So and it's just like to take that, and it was just like, yeah, I felt like the pandemic stuff that happened was like the great equalizer. Like, there's some people who came out of it and
That's it.
they fell flat, and then other people just fucking skyrocketed. And so Jelly's the one that just, you know,
Perfect other example, Andrew Schultz.
yep.
Andrew Schultz took that time and created enough content to make himself more relevant than ever. And
Yeah, when we
as
were down there.
soon as the pandemic was over is when that special came.
Yeah.
Boom.
When we went down with him in Miami when he was still down there, working with
Flex.
his team, they were like,
Flex.
they're like, man, we worked with a lot of teams. We worked with, collaborate with other artists or other, comics, and your team moves just like us. They were like, match bait, like we team up. We're just always grinding, always on to something. And they noticed that in us, and we're like, man, we recognize it in you too. And then that's why, like, I feel like our team and their team work well together. I'm sure there's going to be other like collaborations in the future, hopefully.
I swear, I didn't even know about I don't think I knew about the collaboration, Chatty, until they were there shooting that video.
No, yeah, that kind of just popped
That's
up.
why I got mad.
Well, what's crazy about it is literally what happened
just a
was
hater.
Schultz came and did Zanies, did a weekend at Zanies.
I went.
And when he posted on his Instagram, was like, hey, while I'm in town, I want to write a country song. Well, I know Lucy, the booker at Zanies, and I just hit her a text like, hey, we got a studio on Music Row. Have them come by in the morning. In the meantime, like, Jelly's like getting, I guess they knew each other also, and Jelly's like, hey, I got a studio. It was like it all came together at the same time. Like, hey, I was talking to his manager, and Jelly's talking to Schultz, and they're like, okay, cool, we'll be there.
That's
And then they
crazy.
just came in the next day. I think it was a Saturday. Wrote the song, recorded it, and then they're like, all right, when are we doing the video?
Now they're buddies forever.
They're like, next weekend, come down to Miami. That's literally how it all happened.
Yeah, well, seeing Jelly's super cool with a lot of comedians, with Shab and with Josh Wolf and with
Theo.
Chris Porter and Theo and
Chris Porter.
all them. So like, it kind of is one and the same, I would think. And I know when Jelly went to Zanies and was doing the Big and Hungry podcast with Steve Byrne and Brian Callen,
Yep.
they said that, was it you that said that Callen just loved him instantly?
Yes.
Like after he saw him?
Yeah, so we were, like Steve had been on, because like Jelly was doing the Josh Wolf show at Zanies a bunch, and then Steve Byrne happened to pop in on one of those and met Jelly. And Jelly's the kind of guy, people fall in love with him instantly. They see the talent, they see that he's genuine, they want him around. And then so Steve Byrne had his podcast with Brian Callen. He's like, hey, we need a guest. We're doing a live show. Come be on it. Joe's like, yeah, of course. He pops in. Brian Callen never actually met Jelly, and like is briefly backstage before it went live. We talked a little bit in the green room. They were cutting up, but then when he went out on stage, Jelly was just like telling stories and just like won him over so much. When it was over, Callen's like, "Man, that was the best podcast I've probably been part of. We need you on everything. I'm gonna hook you up with Tim Dillon and all these other people. Like,
dude.
you name it, we're gonna make it happen." So like,
this-
that's pretty dope.
That is
This
fucking
is from Brian
mind-blowing,
Callen, who has
dog.
done 700 episodes of Fighter and the Kid with Shab.
And Shab's fucked with Jelly since
For
way
sure.
back
Since
when.
back in the day.
Same with
Yeah.
the Diaz boys.
Yep.
Like, Jelly's built relationships over the years, and to see the shit that we see him from
Yeah, man, it's awesome.
Blows me away,
It's awesome
dog.
to see.
Yeah, it's cool that he's built those relationships, and now you see him come around and like
Full fucking circle.
and like they're beneficial to everybody. Like not only does Jelly's getting opportunities that are pretty dope, but those people are like, man, this is cool just to know this guy. You know what I mean? Like now they'll text him or they'll FaceTime him, call him. They'll run stuff by him and like, hey, I'm gonna be in town. Can we link up? That kind of stuff. So
Back in June, when me and Jelly was talking on the phone and we was talking about podcasts, and because me and him both love the comedy podcast too, and I was like, dude, it'd be my bucket list podcast for you to get on would be Your Mom's House, and sure enough, that may end up happening. Who knows? But the epic ending would be Joe Rogan.
Oh,
if he could get on Joe Rogan, dog.
I have no doubt that all that stuff's to come.
For sure.
You know what I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's just timing more than anything.
Yeah.
It's not a thing that's not attainable. I don't feel like it's just the right time and place and having the routing, the right situation or whatever. Honestly, Jelly would probably just jump on a plane and go there.
I say it all the time.
Show, but it's just it's all timing. But I think it's going to happen.
Well,
It just
they're both in
blows me
Austin
away.
now.
It just blows me away that we even have these conversations right now.
Right?
Yeah, so
Like
dope.
when we sit here at this table and we talk about that kid and the shit and the opportunities that are kind of coming to fruition and shit, the possibilities and how sky's the limit and the shows, the capacity, the merch, the team, the records, the views, the radio play, the show, the rhyming, the opera, like everything is just so surreal to know him as long as we have and to see, and to get closer to people like you that are around him more. And
yeah.
it's so crazy to sit here and talk about it, man. And even our listeners love hearing it. They love when we have guys like you that are close to him around and all that shit.
Yeah.
But we wanted Jonathan Craig here because Jonathan Craig is just a fucking cool individual.
I
haven't said a lot of shit this episode, man, and I guarantee somebody's done commented, Chad, as this is premiering, that I look pissed off or something. I think Jonathan is just an interesting motherfucker.
For sure, dude. And he's helped me out a lot with ChadArmesTV as far as giving me advice on things and how to structure things and all that too.
The first time I met Jonathan is when I think you were getting one of those lessons, and I came by the office.
Yeah, it was.
And and again, I've heard the name and knew the face, and just never met the gentleman one-on-one or just been in the same room with him to have that opportunity. And when I did, bro, I think I told you that at the end of meeting you that day, that I just enjoyed my time with you.
No, for
Man,
sure,
I
dude.
appreciate y'all because y'all are making my head like 12 sizes bigger than it already is.
Good. You obviously need
like,
it, bro.
But seriously, man, like I've always been the kind of person like I don't want to hold back or feel like I'm holding information that people can use and is useful. I always want to be able to help people. And I feel like when the saying like the rising tide helps all the ships float and sail and all that kind of stuff. So anything that I know that I can help you with, I'm going to tell you. You know what I mean, and help you get there. And we all succeed in the long run from it. So,
and that's what's dope because like going alongside what you just said, the stature that Jelly is at, he could very easily not share any of that shit. You see what I'm saying? And not only Jelly, but like Jelly's people could not only, they don't have to
look at a perfect
saying?
example, Post Malone. Post Malone's a very private guy. He don't put a lot of content out, especially like personal content. You'll see him jump on stage and do an hour set and shake a fucking city. But then when the cameras go off, there ain't no like documentary or behind the scenes. His YouTube is full of his music videos. You know what I'm saying? Like that content is created mainly by people that are around him and had that opportunity to like get that content.
Yeah.
Jelly's the type of person where he wants motherfuckers to see what happens and how it happens and the things that go into play to make it happen. And that's what people fucking want. People love that shit.
Jelly's smart, man.
So when people understand your role as far as that structure goes, man, and then to hear you tell it too, and then either co-sign or answer questions that ain't been answered, like it's fucking gold, man.
Yeah, I think that's part of what is unique is our team. Like we just buy in. There's no ego. There's no like, hey, I did this, I did that. It's all about like, let's get Jelly what he needs and get it. If he needs my help with anything, boom, he knows he can just pick up the phone, call me, text me, whatever. I'm there for it. I mean, even like when we shot the Promise music video, that's a story I like to tell sometimes.
Go.
Before the album came out, Promise was like a separate project, and
I
then
love that song.
And so he was like, "No, I really think it needs to be on this. You know, it needs to be on the Self-Medicated album, but we need a video for it." And he like calls me up at 10 a.m., which is rare for Jelly. Call me at 10 a.m. out of nowhere. He's like, "Bubba, how mad at me would you be if I said I want to shoot a music video today?" I was like, "Not at all. Let's do it. What do you got?" He's like, "That song Promise. I really think we need to do a video for it and put it out on this project." I was like, "Say less. Let's do it." And I was like, "Meet me at the office at noon."
Meet me at the office at noon.
So at noon, we met up at the office. We were like, "What can we do?"
Yep.
Came up with an idea for it. Came up with a location, and by 4:00 p.m. we had all the props. We had our whole team assembled, all the gear, and we were on set, on location, filming that video.
Working.
Dope ass video too, where he smashed all the TVs.
Yeah,
and shit.
smashed TV. That was fun, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that kind of look.
I was like, we gotta turn them on. We gotta have them like fuzzy behind him. And smash them. Like, it was just a cool look.
That's a dope look.
And it was just like, to me, I think it's perfect for that song. What we ended up doing with it. But I love that song. I love the video because that was just one that it was like to know the story behind it, that we pulled that together in like a short amount of time.
It makes it that much dope.
It makes it that much more cool. Yeah.
What would be your favorite, if you had to pick a favorite one that you was a part of? What would be your favorite one?
Ooh, go.
Loneliness is my favorite
Rips.
song video.
Yep.
Because one, like, we actually filmed that in a comedy club for Jelly. And,
wow, that's cool.
For the treatment wise, me and Ryan Hood kind of collaborated. I pitched an idea for a treatment of him performing, because like it was during the pandemic, him performing to an empty room.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Hood's like, well, who's our director, by the way, shout out Ryan Hood.
Yeah, man, shout out Ryan.
He was like, what if we did it where there was a room full of mannequins? That'd make it a little more weird, but cool in a I was like, yeah, that's dope. Let's do it. And then, so like, of course, we had to find mannequins.
I was going to say, where the fuck do you find mannequins?
Yeah, man,
It's kind of weird, man. Like, all these ideas we come up with, when people say it, I'm always like, yeah, let's go. And then they're like, well, how are you going to do it? I was like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. And then, I just start making phone calls and I find them.
Where'd you get mannequins?
I don't even know what town it was in. It was some town outside of Nashville. This guy has this huge warehouse where he sells like surplus items, and he got stuff from like the Gap and all that. And he happened to have like 40 mannequins that we rented from him for like 5 days.
That's so dope, dude.
Because we also had to take those mannequins to Georgia to film with Ritz at a separate location.
On 5 days. So he's like, hell yeah, you can borrow them. Come get them.
Yeah. He was happy with the money he got.
I bet he was.
But we loaded him up in a Sprinter van, drove down to Georgia, and
What'd the van look like?
we got in the HOV lane. We had one sitting up front. We just loaded them all in the back, stacked them up on top of each other, looked like dead bodies. It was
For sure. That's what I'm saying. What did the van look like?
Dude, it was creepy.
That's dope.
But and then Ritz. That was the first time I met Ritz, and he was super dope.
Shout out Ritz.
Yeah, he's a super dope guy, and man, he came in and nailed it. That was probably one of the quickest setups and everything. I know we just filmed doing a verse, but that was one of the quickest shoots we had probably with anybody we worked with. He was just like in there, nailed it. He took like a 15-minute break, did a bunch of cameos, came back, we had a second setup, knocked it out again.
Yeah, cool dude. Have you ever met him, Chad? You ever met Ritz?
No, I mean
I've met him twice.
He said on Facebook a few months ago that he was down to do an interview with me, but I haven't heard back from him. So shout out to Ritz, man.
Yeah, shout out
big
Ritz.
supporter of
Cool
what he
people.
does.
Cool
Yeah,
people.
man, you hit him up. I'm sure y'all set.
Yeah, for sure. That would be nice. But yeah, man.
Jonathan Craig. Like,
Yeah,
Jonathan
Loneliness,
Craig,
one of my favorites. I like Promise.
Yeah.
The biggest one we did was Sober and burning down a barn.
Oh man,
I was
that's
there.
Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
showed up for that one.
That one was insane. That's another, like, how are you going to find a barn to burn down?
That's where. Hey, let's try. Who do we meet that day, Chad?
Oh my God, we got to get him on this podcast. Griff.
Yeah, that guy.
Griff.
He's a
Griff
character,
is
dude.
the goat. It is
Griff.
If Worm was able to make it to his however old Griff is, probably 50s or 60s.
I can't wait for the world
That
to meet
would-
Griff.
Oh,
Yeah.
y'all are not ready for the
So
for
when
Griff.
we left that day from that shoot at Sober, like I pulled up for a little while and just I came to see the bus and shit and just see Jelly for a minute and meet up with Chad and luckily you were there and Griff. We met Griff. We have a clip of Griff, do we not?
Yes, we do from the behind the scenes of the Sober.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll put it in right here.
Yeah.
Cool. So that motherfucker, literally put an impression on me enough to where when I got home that evening, I reached out to Chad and I said, Chad, he sent me the clip or something, and he said, dude, this is hilarious. And I said, dude, we have got to find Griff. So we hit up Maui. Shout out Maui.
Yeah.
They're going to pull up soon, too.
Yeah.
And I had conversations with Griff. I have Griff's number.
Yeah.
And that motherfucker said, I'm going to ride my heart over there, man. Fucking A, dude. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, what it was is
can't
we
wait
went
for
to
him
the
to pull up.
rehearsal.
Do you know him
So I only know him.
from that day?
No, we did another music video. We did see, Bunny does a Christmas song every year.
Yeah.
And so not this Christmas, but last Christmas she did a song, and I was producing that video, and he was an extra. He was like one of the actors in the video, and he was just like a drunk at the bar hitting on people and stuff.
Yeah.
And man,
That's
he got
crazy.
me
I have
cracking
to
up
look
so
at that.
much, dude. He was like, "Let me buy you a drink." I was like, "Actually, the drinks are free today because this is a production." So, but yeah, I'll take a drink. So we, shot some whiskey together and hung out. And
Dude.
he's just the in between takes. He's
Hilarious.
just cracking me up, dude. He has
Hilarious.
funny stories. Just a character.
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
it's the whole thing.
Well, see, I think what it is Mimi, Bunny's manager.
Yeah.
Mimi's dad and Griff are good buddies.
Yeah, I think they might be in like a car club together.
They're in something, dude.
After we got linked up with Maui. Maui got Griff for us. He called him for us.
It was at Jelly's rehearsal before they went on tour.
Yeah, we were at
We were all
rehearsal.
at the rehearsal, yeah.
And he called him for us. It was like, yeah, man, give him my number, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I got Griff's number, and I was texting Griff and telling him about what we was doing, and we had the podcast. We just love for him to pull up, just sit with us, man, and we'll have a drink and we'll smoke one, whatever. And he's like, hell yeah, man, shit, yeah, we'll do that, man. I can't wait for Griff to be here. But then, after these conversations via text, he fucking, 2 days later, sent me a couple pictures. I hope I still have this picture. He sent me a picture to what looks to be Griff's an older gentleman. You know what I'm saying? Y'all saw the little clip.
Got gray hair.
Right, but he sent me what looks to be, I'll try to find the picture and put it up. But what looks to be like his niece maybe or his granddaughter. I don't know. I don't know the scenario. But this poor little girl has fell asleep on his couch or his chair or some shit, and this dude has drawn all over this girl with a marker. And he sent me this picture of this little girl with just marks all over her face and arms and everything. And he said,
so great.
don't go sleep around Griff, is what the text said. I was like, man.
Nobody's safe, dude.
Nobody's safe.
I mean, it's good that he warned you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So
next time y'all hang out,
Don't fall asleep around
don't
Griff.
fall asleep
don't
around
get
Griff.
comfortable.
And I just send him a bunch of laughing emojis. But yeah, we gotta get Griff over here. I'm glad you brought up the sober video shoot.
That was a great video shoot. That was a two day. That
was cool.
And
Yep.
I didn't get
gotta-
to stay for the barn burning.
well,
That was the
it
best
lit
part.
up. It lit up
I did-
quicker and hotter than a lot of us thought.
Man, that was insane. Because we had professionals. We had a actual team who.
There's fucking fire trucks and shit.
They
there.
did a lot of the. They did a
I
lot
pulled
of
up
stuff
and was
for
like,
WWE.
whoa, what happened?
They did a lot of the stuff for WWE.
I jumped out of the car and
entrance
Chad said, no, dude, they're going to burn this bitch down. I was like, oh, that's why the fire trucks
Yeah, it was a
are
real
here.
pyro team. They do, they do concerts all over the place. They do, the WWE type stuff. And they came, and then we had the fire marshal was there, of course, for safety. And we were talking to him. We're like, hey, so we're trying to get these shots. We want to see if maybe Jelly can perform in front of the barn while it's burning. Is that going to be safe? And also, how much time do we have? And they're like, it's going to take 30 minutes for this thing to really get going good. You're good. No, it was 30 seconds.
Bro, it went up, and that was it, dude.
Yeah.
And we stood across the street, and it was burning our legs. It was burning our leg hairs off.
Yeah, I was sitting across the street at first watching, getting some BTS footage on my phone. And then I was like, well, let me back up about 10 more feet. And then we back up 2 more feet. And then the next thing I know, the camera crew is we had our station set up underneath the tent we had a monitor and we had lighting and all that stuff. They would just start grabbing stuff and pulling it because it was starting to melt.
That's
our
crazy.
TV, our TV monitor we use to this day is melted in the back. The whole casing's just warped and melted from that day.
Wow,
It was
fun
crazy.
fact.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't get to stay for the burning of the barn, but I remember when I got to the shoot, I pulled up and you were sitting inside doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I came in with Chad, but right when we came through the door, they told us to close the door behind us, and as soon as we closed the door behind us, Jelly was up on the stage in the corner, and it's the part where the mic stand catches on fire, but the behind him. Mm-hmm. I wasn't expecting none of that shit, bro. I was like, we walked in and we were like 12 feet from this shit, and it goes hot as fuck. So I could only imagine how the actual barn engulfed in flames felt like.
Yep.
It was serious, but they burned that bitch down.
Burnt that bitch to the ground.
We had an audience too, man. It was probably the most.
The whole town came out.
Yeah,
for
the
that
most
shit.
silent thing that town had probably seen in years.
Oh, absolutely. I know that town. That's Cross
Y'all
Plains,
were-
Orlando. That's the biggest thing that's happened in that
They
town.
were
in
out
20
there,
years.
dude.
Yeah.
Chad sent me the address, and as I'm driving, I'm like, damn. Like I could tell we're at a barn.
It was out there, but yeah, man.
So hang on. So what? One more thing before we get out of here. What's next for Jonathan Craig in 2022?
Man, hopefully just more of the same, man. I mean, it's been a fun ride so far being part of this team, and looking forward to bigger and better things going forward. And I'm focusing on some writing stuff for comedy. So whether that's going to be stand up or I might do a satire website, or I might
movie,
some stuff. Hey, I've had some movie ideas too. So yeah, I mean, a lot of fun stuff. Probably gonna maybe start a podcast myself.
He spoke on that.
Yeah, you and your wife, right?
Yeah.
That'd be
We
dope,
got some ideas rolling around. So it's just anything entertainment. I want to be part of it and just have fun.
I love that mentality. That's why we were anxious to have you here.
For sure. And
we're fans, man.
We'll put his social media link down below, and I'll also put, he's got a 10-minute set that he just put on his YouTube channel. Y'all subscribe to his YouTube and check out that 10-minute set that he did. It's really funny.
Bro, have you seen? I watched. I did some research too. Did you see him eat the hot chip, bro?
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that like the day that he posted it, earlier this year.
Wow.
Cried.
Look at that.
It was
You
terrible.
handled it like a boss.
You did though,
Yeah,
dog.
man.
5 minutes is
Listen,
boss
man,
shit, bro.
like that was terrible, but nothing is worse than what happened after the camera stopped, dude. Like for the 30 minutes afterwards, when it starts getting in your stomach.
That's what Dusty Lee's homeboy was going through over here
worst.
too.
Somebody ate one over here. We got two.
Dusty Lee's buddy
Two more
did.
over here.
Yeah.
You want one?
Nah, I'm never doing that again.
We tried to pay dude, and he didn't even want to get paid. Like
He said he did it for the Dust Gang, dude.
I got paid to do
Arthur.
that. So.
Arthur, yeah. Shout out to Arthur.
Shout out Arthur, brother. That's my guy.
Arthur.
I can't say it. That's if I can't say 28 words we say on this podcast. I can't say Arthur.
Just put an R in it instead of
Arthur.
You're saying, there
Arthur.
You go. There you go. Say it country.
Arthur. You're right. Say it country.
Say it country. Heck yeah, man.
Jonathan Craig, we appreciate you, bro. We're big fans. You come back anytime, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all. It's been
Anybody
a
that
lot of
pulls
fun.
up here is welcome to come back anytime. But we'll make sure everybody knows more about you now, at least wants to know more about you.
Cool.
We've enjoyed
Sure.
having you, man.
Appreciate it.
And, yeah, it's ChadArmesTV.com. So I got some shit to say to the podcast. Jonathan Craig.
But bitch, we got views.